All right, so this is a test run of something I'm thinking about doing. Definitely going to make a bunch of math-related videos, but I think I'm going to try to start a series here by going live and just doing some chat. I'm going to call it ChatGPT Math Roulette, where I just give ChatGPT the prompt to give me a random high school math problem to solve, and let's see what we get. I'm going to try to solve it here. Okay. I didn't ask for the solution. I didn't ask for the solution. I said to solve. Come on, ChatGPT. Okay, so here's a word problem. Get this on the screen, get this set up here. Like this. Format this all nice. So there's our problem. So it says the sum of the ages of Alice and Bob is 30 years. Alice was twice as old as Bob. How old are Alice and Bob now? That doesn't seem to make any sense. Why does it say 5 years ago Alice was twice as old as Bob? Okay. So let's say X is Alice. Y is Bob. What do we know? So right now, their ages added together are 30 years old. We can make an equation out of that. So just x plus y equals 30. Because their two ages added together is 30 years. And we also know, this equation's a little bit trickier. 5 years ago, Alice was twice as old as Bob. So that means that Alice's age is twice Bob's age 5 years ago. Well, we can represent Alice's age 5 years ago by saying x minus 5, right? 5 years ago, that's how old Alice was. And this age should be equal to Bob's age, to twice Bob's age, so 2 times Bob's age, which is y, 5 years ago, so minus 5. And these are our two equations. We've got two different equations here. We can use substitution in this situation by just solving for one of the variables, and then we can plug that into the other equation. So this is definitely a main math concept in Algebra 1, I believe you were learning this. So let's just make this equation right here equal to x. So we have y on the right side, we have x on the left side. If I want to get x by itself, I want to add 5 to both sides to clear out the left side and get x by itself. So x is going to equal 2 times y minus 5, and then the plus 5 at the end. Cool. So now we've got our equation solved for x. I can simplify this a little bit. Why don't we simplify it a little bit? I'm going to multiply the 2 through, distribute that 2. So we're going to get x equals 2y minus 10. and then we still have our plus 5 on the outside, so there's a plus 5 at the end. All I did there was multiply the 2 to the y and the 2 to the negative 5. Right? Then we can simplify that one more time just to combine the negative 10 with the plus 5. So x is going to equal 2y minus 5. Okay? And now, since we know that x equals 2y minus 5, the 2y minus 5 can go into the other equation where the x goes. So I'm going to take this top equation and rewrite it as 2y minus 5 plus y so this is the 2y minus 5 going into the x plus y equals 30. These parentheses aren't really necessary. I just wanted to make it clear that that was the x that I was plugging in. So we can add 2y and y and get 3y minus 5 equals 30. It's not looking like this is going to come out to a clean number, but sometimes GPT will do that to you. So to solve this equation, now we're just solving for y. We got to get rid of this 5, add 5 to both sides. We get 3y equals 35. So y is going to equal 35 divided by 3, which is going to be a pretty gross number. That's 11.3 or 11.666 repeating. So it looks like Alice is 11 and 2/3. And then to solve the rest of the equation, we can take our equation right here and plug our new y into it that we just got. So x plus, since we know what y is now, we can do x plus 35 over 3 equals 30. And to solve this, we just subtract 35 over 3 from both sides. And what we will get is x equals 30 minus 35 over 3. I just said 35 over 3 is 11 and 2/3. So if you subtract that from 30, you get 18 and 1/3. So Alice is 18 and 1/3 years old, and Bob is, so this is 11 and 2/3 years old. And that's Alice and Bob. There you go. That's a math question for you. Little substitution from Algebra 1. Very nice. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Okay, let's do another one. Erase all this. Wow, this is lagging really bad. Okay, this is not working, dude. Can I, oh my god, why is this so bad? see if ChatGPT can give us another one. All right, another random high school math question. Let's dive in. All right, so this question, it looks like a geometry question. It's asking about a triangle, so let's grab a triangle here. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a right triangle, but we're wondering if the triangle is a right triangle. So we have some triangle. It looks like two of the sides are significantly longer than the other one. Let's take this triangle. Let's label our sides. 24, 25, 24. Can't do no. 25 and 7. And 7. Cool. So if this triangle was a right triangle, then the angle across from the longest side would be a right angle, because that's how right triangles work. There's something called a hypotenuse. The longest side is called the hypotenuse, and it's always across from a right angle. And the rule for right triangles is the Pythagorean theorem, which some of you may have seen before, where a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And if this is true, then we have ourselves a right triangle. C is always the hypotenuse, so let's set up our equation with our sides. So we got 7 squared plus 24 squared, the smaller two sides, squared, have to equal the longest side squared. Let's see if this is true. If it comes out to true, that means we have a right triangle on our hands. So 7 squared is 49, plus 24 squared, I don't know that one off the top of my head, 576, 576 is what 24 squared is, equals 625. If these things add together and equal each other, then the whole thing is true, and as it turns out, they do. So this equation equals 625 on the left side and 625 on the right side. So since the Pythagorean theorem is true, since a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we have now proven that there's a right angle in this triangle, and therefore it's a right triangle. There it is. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. All right. How did I clear this before? Clear frame. Nope. All right, let's run another question from ChatGPT. I'm just going to keep this same prompt going. So give me a random high school math question and don't solve it. Let's see what we get. Cool. All right, so our question is, the quadratic equation x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0 has two solutions. Find the sum and product of these solutions. Cool, so the first thing we're going to have to do is find the solutions to this equation. So our equation is x squared minus 5x plus 6, which is a quadratic equation. And the way you solve quadratic equations is by factoring. So what we have to do here is factor this equation. A lot of times in high school math, people are using the Xbox method or this little X deal here. So what we need to do is find numbers that multiply to 6 and add to -5. And our answer should be in factored form. So since we have just an x out here, both of our first terms are going to be x and x. And we're going to have to find these two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to -5. And those two numbers are going to go in these spots. So our numbers multiply to positive 6 and add to -5. So they multiply to a positive. To multiply to a positive, you have to have the same sign for both numbers. So if both were positive, that would multiply to a positive. If both were negative, that would also multiply to a positive. And we have to add them together and have them equal to a negative. So if they add together and equal to a negative, they must be negative. So both of our answers are going to be negative here. And they multiply to 6. So what two numbers multiply to 6 and add to 5? The answer is 2 and 3, and we already decided they were both negative. So when we factor this, it's x minus 2 and x minus 3 that are our factors. This is how we factor when there's a 1 as our a term, as our first term out front here. This whole thing equals 0. And now that we've factored this, we can solve the equation. And the way you solve the factored equation is recognizing that these two things are multiplied together. And when two things are multiplied together, if either one of them equals 0 and then you multiply it by something else, it doesn't matter what you multiply it by. If one of the two things that are being multiplied equals 0, then the whole thing equals 0. So we can actually set these both up as mini equations now, because if x minus 2 equals 0, then the whole thing will equal 0. And if x minus 3 equals 0, then the whole thing equals 0. So if either one of these two equations are true, then the whole thing's true. So for this one, we just add 2 to both sides. We get x equals 2. And over here, we add 3 to both sides. We get x equals 3. So our two answers are 2 and 3. And the question was asking for the product and the sum. So the sum would just be this one plus this one. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Which is the sum. And the product is 2 times 3. Product means multiplication. I wrote 2 times 2. That was an accident. 2 times 3. And 2 times 3 is 6. So our sum is 5, and our product is 6. And that's that problem for you. There it is. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. All right, let's get another. All right, let's get another GPT math question. Want a random math, high school math question? Give it to me. All right, a car travels from town A to town B at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour and returns from town B to town A at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. What is the car's average speed for the entire trip? This is kind of a weird question. It depends on how. No, it's the same distance both ways. Okay. All right. Yeah, because we know it's the same distance both ways. I should be able to figure this out. Okay. Is it just 50? Blah, blah, what's happening? How you doing? I'm a little stumped on this. I gotta work my way through this. I don't like this question. It's not 50 because it spends more time going 40, right? But I'm having a hard time. Yeah. All right. So the 40 is more heavily weighted. I feel like it's going to be 48. Or maybe 46.66. Okay, well, let's plug in a random distance and see if we can figure this out. All right, let's run through this word problem here. So a car travels from town A to town B at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour and returns from town B to town A at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. What is the car's average speed for the entire trip? Let's for the sake of the problem, let's say that this person went 60 kilometers to and from where they were going. So to find their speed, we're going to have to figure out how far they went over how long it took, right? That's how you find speed. It's kilometers over hours. So if we can figure out how far they went, and we know that because I just decided it doesn't matter how far they went. Their speed is the most important aspect. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can plug in any number. I'm not doing a good job explaining this either. I kind of want to start this over. This video is just not making. I'm not going to turn this into a video. Actually, let me try it again. So how am I going to explain that I can just plug in any random value is the main thing that I'm thinking about. Because that's how rates work. They're just constant all the time, but I want to be able to explain that well. So I mean, I can use any number, and that's the way that I would solve this. 60. So yeah, let's say 40 kilometers per hour. It'll take them an hour and a half. Yeah, those numbers are really easy to use. All right, let me run this back. All right, let's solve this little word problem. We got a car travels from town A to town B at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour and returns from town B to town A at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour. What is the car's average speed for the entire trip? All right, let's say their trip was 60 kilometers, right? Just for the sake of it, it doesn't matter how long the trip was. The rate should be the same at exactly the same, at no matter the distance, because they go the same distance there and the same distance back. So if we say that they went 60 kilometers to their destination and then came 60 kilometers back, they traveled a total of 120 kilometers, right? And now let's figure out how long it took them. So the first leg was 60 kilometers. And we divide that by their speed to get how long it took them. So they're going 60 kilometers per hour, which is going to give us 1 hour. And then 40 kilometers per hour, or sorry, they still went 60 kilometers on the way back. And then they still went 60 kilometers on the way back. Divided by 40 kilometers per hour. And that's going to give us 1.5 hours. And then to calculate speed, we do the distance they traveled over the time it took them, which is 120 divided by 1.5. Oh, sorry, divided by 2.5. So I have to add these two. This is a terrible this is a terrible video. All right. Getting into the swing of things here. Trying a new thing. All right, 1 hour plus 1.5 hours equals 2.5. 120 divided by 2.5 is 120 divided by 5, yeah, 48 is 48. 48 kilometers per hour. This was disgusting. This video is not making the cut, but had to make it. You know, we're getting started here, working out the kinks. My computer's lagging a lot. All right, let's try another one. I'm gonna try to do this every day. I think do this for like an hour, and hopefully eventually I'll cover a lot of math, and then I'll fill in the gaps. That was a terrible video. I gotta get a better, I probably have to just get a better computer, honestly. This thing is, I'm using it a little too heavy. All right. All right, let's get another random math question from ChatGPT. Let's see what they got for us here. Oops. All right, let's get another random question from ChatGPT. Got a right triangle. All right, ChatGPT is not spitting out extremely diverse questions. And I can't draw a right triangle on this thing, so I know the answer to this one already. I already did. I'm gonna do another question. I don't like this. I already did a Pythagorean theorem question. Yeah, I'm trying to cover all of high school math, so there's going to be varying difficulties. All right, let's do this geometry question, I guess. There's no line drawing tool. All right, let's run through this little geometry question here. So the question is telling us that a cylinder has a radius of 5 centimeters and a height of 10 centimeters. What is the volume of the cylinder? So radius is going to be up here on one of the bases. The radius of a circle goes from the center to the edge. They're telling us that is 5. And the height is 10. And then we're going to need a formula for volume of a cylinder, which is the area of the base times the height. That's the formula for any prism. And a cylinder is a circular prism. So it's pi times r squared and then times the height equals volume. So we'll leave pi as is, and we will write in our equation here where it's 5 squared times pi times 10, and that's pretty much all we got to do. And just calculate that out for the volume. So it's 5 squared, which is 25, times our 10, which is 250. We can leave pi as is, generally do to be as exact as possible. And our answer is 250 pi, and that's going to be the volume of that cylinder. Pretty nice little thing there. And that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Okay. Yeah, I would like to get a little more difficult questions than that. That's not even a high school geometry question. It's like a 6th grade question, I feel like. I'm not sure that ChatGPT Math Roulette's really doing the trick here. Alright, I'm going to do some of the MTEL questions that I was teaching. this over here instead. This isn't a very mathy question. Really, like I don't have to do anything. Yeah, let's not do that one. Man, this is just being really difficult. Just line up, please. Okay, whatever. All right, so one of my jobs is tutoring teachers to take their Massachusetts teacher licensure exam, the MTEL, and I think most states have to take a very similar test. And I just wanted to run through a few examples from a sample test here that I have. So here's one example from a sample MTEL. So which of the following statements about the values represented by the digits in the number 24.24 is correct? So the number 24.24 is equivalent to 24 times 10 to the 0 plus 10 to the negative 2. So let's just start with that. Let's test each one of these answers individually. So 24 times 10 to the 0 plus 10 to the negative 2, right? So we can actually distribute this by just the laws of multiplication. You can multiply to both of these things. You can also kind of recognize what each of these is. Use exponent rules to decide what each of these are. So first, why don't we simplify 10 to the 0th and 10 to the negative 2? Well, 10 to the 0th power is just 1. And then we're adding 10 to the negative 2. So when you raise something to the negative 2 power, so when you raise something to the negative 2 power, what that actually does is just 1 over 10 to the positive 2. That's what a negative exponent is. It flips the fraction and then raises it to the same number that it was, but the positive version. So this is actually 1 plus 1 over 100, right? And let's not forget our 24 out here. I misplaced that thing. So again, we can distribute this through, and I'm going to get 24 times 1, which is just 24, and then plus 24 times 1 over 100, or 24 over 100, which is just 0.24. You divide anything by 100, you move the decimal place 2 places. So we get 24 plus 0.24, which is 24.24. Oh man, it's off the screen. I'm not doing well with these videos, dude. All right, we're trying things out. I'm gonna call it for today. This has been a good kind of sample run through this. I'm gonna go through this entire MTEL at some point. I'm hoping that ChatGPT Math Roulette works. I want to be able to. I got to figure out ways to phrase the questions better. I can probably just ask for calculus questions specifically, and pre-calculus and different stuff like that. But just feeling out how I'm going to do this. Definitely not the smoothest video of all time, but hopefully it gets smoother as time goes on. Just want to get a feel for this. I think this should kind of work, but I just gotta smooth out some of the wrinkles here. But thanks for popping through. If anybody's hanging out in here, I should be doing this pretty frequently. So if you're interested in it, hopefully catch you again soon. I'll catch y'all later.